Hi, everybody. It's Karen Fleshman, founder of Racy Conversations and of the Interracial Sisterhood Coalition. And I wanted to hop on to have a conversation about this video that Trump has shared on his social media platform and what we as white people should and should not be doing at this time. So please, if you're interested in that conversation, join me. You can go ahead and introduce yourself in the comments. I welcome your thoughtful participation in this conversation, and I will be posing several questions as we go along. Um, yeah, so thank you for joining, and let's get right into it. I think we must name this behavior plainly. Trump shared a racist video targeting the Obamas, and this was not accidental, ironic, or out of context. It fits a long documented pattern. And it's so important that we never euphemize racism to make it more palatable. What he is doing is not about shock value, and it's not a joke. It is a strategy. As he has from day one, Trump deploys racist content to dehumanize, provoke fear and resentment, and normalize cruelty. And you can go ahead, if you're joining and have seen him do this, name in the chat where you have seen him do this. I will never forget when he rode down the escalator to announce his candidacy, and he said that Mexicans are rapists, and I'm sure some of them are very fine people. Outrage is part of the goal. It keeps the cycle alive. So he knows he is deeply unpopular. He's underwater on every poll, meaning his unfavorability ratings are higher than his favorability ratings. And he is implicated in the Epstein files, mentioned thousands of times in photos. I mean, all over these Epstein files. And so he is doing everything he can to distract us and to rile up his base to support him. And what does he know riles up his base? Racism, misogyny as well. So why the Obamas? Why is he so frequently, why does Trump frequently target the Obamas? And don't forget, he began his career in politics by attacking President Obama on his birthplace, because you have to be born in the United States, US citizen, in order to be elected president. There's an age requirement and there's a born in the United States citizenship requirement, meaning you can't be a naturalized US citizen. You have to be a person who was born in the United States. And so Trump, for years, tried to, told the lie that President Obama was not born in the United States, when in fact he was. Right? So why does Trump target the Obamas? Well, what do they represent? Black excellence. They represent multiracial democracy. That is the majority of the US electorate. That's why he won the popular vote twice. Voters of color and progressive whites, we make up the majority of the electorate. They represent dignity and restraint in public life, right? You think about the Obamas' character, the way they used their platform, the White House, to really engage all America and make us feel part of our government, part of the White House, which we are. They work for us. Don't forget about that. We don't work for them. But the way that they went to church every Sunday, the obvious love that they have for each other as a family, the dignity and respect in the way that President Obama treats Michelle Obama and his daughters, all of that is extremely threatening to Trump. And so that's why he's constantly trying to take them down. And let's add in that this weekend was the release of Melania's $45 million bribe or whatever it was that Amazon spent creating this documentary about her, using a man who himself was in the Epstein files, Bruce Ratner, as the director. So that came out this weekend. And it's the same weekend that there was a 13,000% surge in views of Michelle Obama's 2020 documentary on Netflix. So actually, more people watched Michelle Obama's documentary this weekend than watched Melania's documentary, even though Michelle's is like 5 years old at this point. And I myself watched the Michelle Obama documentary. I remember when it came out, I somehow didn't get around to watching it, but it is so good. I highly, highly recommend watching the Michelle Obama documentary if you have not seen it. And feel free. I see some people have joined us. Add in other other reasons why you believe that the Obamas are frequently attacked by Donald Trump. But I want to be clear that whenever Donald Trump attacks the Obamas, it's not just jokes. What he's really trying to say is that he is the decider of who belongs and doesn't belong in our society. When the most powerful man on earth uses his platform to tweet dehumanizing videos, it is very powerful. It is a tool that authoritarians have used throughout history. You know, racism is not just prejudice. It is a governing strategy. It is a way that a tiny handful of wealthy, powerful white men have accumulated more wealth and power for 400 years of US history, and the white women who support them, right? They this is a Racism is created to accumulate wealth and power, as Dr. Ibram Kendi um, uh, so brilliantly illustrates in Stamped from the Beginning, A History of Racism in the United States. Authoritarian movements throughout history always use the same playbook. The people, they accumulate wealth and power, so there's a large group of people who are angry because they are not they're struggling financially. And then the authoritarian says, the reason you're struggling is because of those bad people over there. It could be Black people. It could be LGBTQ people. It could be trans people. It could be Roma. That was another target of the Nazis, were the Roma people. In the United States, it's frequently Black people that the wealthy white men scapegoat. You think about uh, uh, the tropes that Ronald Reagan propagated of the welfare queen, right? Or the claiming that Michael Dukakis, um, what I can't even remember what it was, but Willie Horton, right? Like this, all of these negative stereotypes that they have used to scapegoat Black people, okay? And what they're trying to do is to undermine our shared reality, right? Everybody knows, everybody can see the decency, the love, the excellence of the Obama family. That is well documented. We all see it. But what Trump is trying to do is to take away our shared reality and use this image, this terrible image. Um, and he particularly uses this image of apes because that has been a long-standing racist trope, right? That because people evolved from ape-like creatures, that white people are more evolved because our skin is lighter, and Black people are closer to apes than white people are. When in fact, there is absolutely nothing different about the DNA of people. 99.99% of our DNA, no matter what our skin color is exactly the same. The amount of our DNA that determines our skin color, hair color, eye color, hair texture is a teeny, teeny, tiny fraction. It's not even 1% of our DNA. Everything about human beings is exactly the same. There is no group of white people that are more highly evolved than other white people, despite what racists would try to believe, try to make us believe. And Trump is deliberately trying to reward cruelty and loyalty over truth. You see this over and over again. The cruelty is the point. The violence is the point. They're trying to send the message of conform to what I say, do what I tell you to do, or you will be victimized too. You will be shot dead in the street, and then we'll come attack your character if you try to resist us. So this issue is both systemic, and I do believe that Trump has a visceral personal hatred of President Obama and Michelle Obama for everything that they represent. The harm is cumulative. It is not isolated. And as people are joining to watch this live, please share with me in the comments if you have any comments you would like to add. And as I pose these questions, your answers to these questions. The harm is cumulative, not isolated. And each incident lowers the bar. What was once unthinkable becomes just another headline. And then something else outrageous happens. And because it's happening so frequently, what Steve Bannon called flooding the zone, we start to numb out and we start to not pay attention to how bad this is. And with each incident, the bar is getting lowered and lowered. What this normalization does, it impacts children, what they think. I mean, when they see the president of the United States doing this, what does that give them permission to do? it impacts public discourse, what is considered acceptable and unacceptable behavior in public, and it impacts what people feel emboldened to say or do in everyday life. It is dangerous. It is extremely dangerous for the president to have shared this particular video. And it's going to result in, it will inevitably result in real harm to real people, to real Americans, just like everybody else. And so, what I'm calling on is us as white people to use our power responsibly to call this out. Don't sit silent. Don't numb out. Don't pretend this is not happening. We have to take action. And I'd like to focus first on what not to do. Okay. And if people have thoughts here, they can add in the comments. Don't share the video. Okay. This is very important. Those videos sink into our subconscious. Those images sink into our subconscious. This is why I don't watch police brutality videos or share police brutality videos, because it starts to normalize these images in my brain. So don't share the video. Don't dismiss it as just Trump being Trump. Again, this is not innocent. It's not a joke. It is a calculated political strategy. And don't minimize the racial harm to avoid conflict. Okay? If you have a friend or a family member who thinks this is hilarious and just awesome, you need to be the one to call that person out and explain to them why it is not hilarious or awesome or acceptable in any way. And the most important thing is not to center our white comfort over Black safety and dignity. Okay? These are the things not to do. Don't share the video. Don't dismiss it as Trump just being Trump. Don't minimize the racist harm to avoid conflict. And don't center white comfort over Black safety and dignity. And also, no whataboutism. Okay? None of that. This is condemning Trump's sharing of this racist video of the Obamas. What to do? Condemn Trump's action. Speak out. Share on social media why you are opposed. If you are a leader, use your platform to condemn Trump's action. If you are a leader in the workplace, if you are a leader of any type of organization, issue a public call condemning Trump's action. And if you work for an organization or are part of an organization, you work for a company, you're part of any kind of other type of organization that where the leaders have not used their platform to condemn Trump's action, demand that the leadership condemn Trump's action publicly. That's the first thing to do. Then you need to put your attention and resources toward Black-led organizations, journalists, and educators who are doing the long work of protecting truth and democracy. Okay, this is very important. Amplify Black voices on this issue. I can think of, okay, hold on one second. Let me put this on silent. Okay. Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, Sherry Dunn, um, Ibram Kendi. There are many, Joyanne Reed. There are many Black leaders who are condemning this action. Amplify their voices, take their programs, pay them to educate you, subscribe to their Substacks. This is extremely important. And then call your senators and representatives. 202 224, excuse me, 202 224 3121. I'm popping it in the chat. That is the U.S. Capitol switchboard. If you don't know who your senators or representative are, you can Google it and search it up. Then call the Capitol switchboard, ask to be transferred to their office, or call their numbers in your local community. Okay, and share with them how completely unacceptable this is, and that they need to hold him to account for this behavior. They need to impeach him. They need to try him. They need to remove him from office. This is extremely important. And if they are silent on it, that is violence. That is a tacit form of approval of the message. And it's just as bad as if they had shared that video themselves. The next thing you need to do is talk with your white family, with your friends, and ask them to join you. This is extremely important. We need to get more and more people taking action, publicly condemning this, speaking out, following Black leaders, learning from Black leaders. And most importantly, talk with your kids about it. Make sure they understand how completely wrong and unacceptable this is, and that they should never, ever participate in something like it. And if they see their fellow students doing something similar, they should talk with their classmates about it. Teach them why what Trump did is racist and harmful. Okay, yes, that is the phone number, 202 224 3121. That is the congressional U.S. Capitol switchboard, so you can be transferred to your elected leaders. Most importantly, as I shared, do not share the video, okay? You don't have to amplify the cruelty to respond to it. You don't have to be numb either, okay? Take action. It's not enough to just say, this is disgusting, and go on about your day. You have to go to the next step of actually doing something about it. Because if we don't do anything about it, that is again tacit approval. What you can do is refuse to normalize racism, support Black leadership, and hold your elected officials accountable for the country that they are helping to shape. And like I said, invite as many of your white family and friends into it as possible. This weekend, we are going to gather together in living rooms for the American national religion of the Super Bowl, okay? That the statistics, I was looking it up on the NFL, I think it's somewhere between 53% to 70% Black, okay? Americans love Black athletes. We love Black musicians. We love Black culture. It is time for us to love Black people, to show up for Black people in the same way that we like to listen to their music and watch them play sports. Let's show up. Let's pull up. Let's Get this guy out of office. And let's build a multiracial democracy where everybody can thrive, not just the 1%. That is what is happening right now. Wealth is accumulating in the hands of a few. Elon Musk is on track to become the world's first trillionaire. The tech oligarchy is raking in money. I live here in San Francisco. I'm surrounded by these people, right? This tiny group of people is accumulating tremendous wealth and power. And that is why so many of us are struggling. Okay. We have to change this. And you can make a huge difference as a white person using your power and responsibility to do something about it and to engage more white people alongside you. I firmly believe what Ta-Nehisi Coates said at the end of his conversation with Ezra Klein when he was holding Ezra Klein to account for his article that said Charlie Kirk was practicing politics in the right way. And I urge you to watch the video of this conversation. It's very important as white people that we watch that whole video. But at the very end, Ta-Nehisi says to Ezra Klein, in the entire American history, this is the best group of white people, Black people have ever had. This is the most woke, the most willing to do something with their privilege of any group of white people. So, white people, this is my call to action. Let's 10x that. Let's use our power and our responsibility. Let's engage more white people in the struggle, and let's go beyond doom scrolling and feeling bad about it to actually doing something about it. Thank you so much for your time and attention watching this, and please take action. And also, I cannot wait for Bad Bunny's halftime show. Okay, bye everybody.